And today we also learned that pilots have complained about this 737 before. In one complaint, a captain said the autopilot function caused the plane to briefly nosedive. KCTV5's Betsy Webster got into a simulator to get a feel for that autopilot and the limits of overriding it.
Press vertical speed, engage.
Matt Miller has been a flight instructor for 40 years and uses a simulator geared for smaller planes.
Now disconnect the autopilot.
Whoa, hey, that was a little bit abrupt. The key takeaway from him, all sized planes have automation nowadays.
As pilots get a lot of training on use of the autopilot, but also to disconnect the autopilot when they need to.
This button here, that is the autopilot disconnect. It's right here on the controls so that you can take action quickly if something does go wrong. In the case of the two 737 MAX crashes, though, it all went wrong just after takeoff at very low altitude.
It takes a couple seconds for the pilots to figure out what's wrong. Takes a couple seconds for them to figure out what to do about it, a couple more seconds to do it, so you're burning up valuable altitude.
Dan Stratman flew 7 years in the Air Force and 14 with Northwest and Delta. He since wrote a fictional thriller.
It's based on a real fear that the FAA has about automation on high-tech airplanes.
Miller says the NTSB will use a simulator to better understand what went wrong with the two 737 MAX 8s that crashed.
They will use a 737 simulator, much larger than this one, but they do pretty much the same thing.
In the meantime, Stratman says grounding 74 planes will cost the airlines massive amounts of money and travelers a whole lot of hassle, but is the right decision until we know more.
In aviation, taking the most conservative route or making the most conservative decision is usually the best idea. Until you know for certain it's safe to fly an airplane, it's probably best not to fly it.